Welcome back to Lost in Roshar, the ultimate journey through the Stormlight Archive. I'm Christian Kremling.
And I'm Jimmy Stormlight. Today, we're going into Wind and Truth preview chapters 25 and 26. We don't have the doc updated, Christian. I was reading off the doc, and it's not updated, so I almost said 23 and 24. Thank goodness I was sharp enough to get to the 25 and 26, because we have two new chapters to cover in Wind and Truth. This is full spoilers for the Stormlight Archive. If we do any Cosmere spoilers, we'll give you timestamps. Don't worry about it. Christian and I always do a little bit of preamble before the show. We get caught up. We talk about life. That's probably actually our favorite part of all this is kind of just getting to talk weekly, which is great because me and Christian have been friends for we've been friends for 5-6 years now.
Yeah. Oh my, that's weird. It's been because we're the class of 2020 YouTubers, right? Where everyone's like, I'm going to make a YouTube channel because it's, lockdown.
The world's falling apart.
The world's falling apart. May as well. So yeah, probably 4 years now. 4 years. Heading into 5 though. Heading into
year 5. I know I started YouTube in January of 2020. So wow. I had planned all December, came out with my first video in January. So it'll be 5 years in January. But you and I have also had way more conversations not related to fantasy books or books at all in general, but just life stuff, right? So Christian and I love shooting the breeze before the show. And it, of course, ended up us talking about Stormlight. And I was like, well, we got to hit record because before I get out all my, feelings that are in the moment, I need to hit the record button. So it's all organic, but a lot to think about with these chapters this week. But the more important question is, Christian, how is your brand new puppy?
Amazing. Simultaneously, the most difficult and most beautiful thing of all time, because everybody who's had a puppy knows the first night is like the longest night possible. Oh my gosh. But you know what? Last night was night 2 and he slept through the whole night and it was just a godsend. It was like this. I had to keep checking. I'm like, is he okay? Like, did something happen? Because I really feel like I just have a son and I must attend to him. But it's amazing. And I read these chapters because puppies sleep so much. Puppies sleep quite a bit. It's like training. You hang out for 30 minutes to an hour, and then it's like, okay, time for a 2-hour nap. So that's when I read these chapters in a very, very sleep deprived state. So I feel like every week I'm coming with a new excuse as to why I'm not going to understand the chapters, but that's my one for this week. Sleep deprived puppy.
These are chapters where I think it's a little bit more straightforward than the other ones, but there's still a lot of stuff that we have to kind of dig through. And the Ghostblood stuff's very nebulous at this point. Like, we don't know exactly where it's going to go. I am trying to figure out how much I care about Marays and the Ghostbloods. So it's a lot to think about, dude. This series is epic. And I can kind of think of back retrospectively about Stormlight Archive. And really, when you look at the landscape of today of fantasy, obviously I read a ton of fantasy books every year, and there's no one really doing this right now, man. There's no 10-book series. There's no Wheel of Time or a Song of Ice. And I know a Song of Ice and Fire is still ongoing, but George hasn't written a book in a long time. There's just not that big epic series. And when you look back at Stormlight and all the stuff in it, it's kind of overwhelming in a way, but also really awe-inspiring. It really is epic. Sanderson going for it, which I really appreciate.
Oh yeah, we're lucky because sometimes there's those lulls where there's kind of no big series going on, and you just go back to the previous king, which was, I guess, Wheel of Time or Song of Ice and Fire. But I wonder, you would know this much better than me. When Wheel of Time was coming out, and I guess there is some crossover with a Song of Ice and Fire.
There was, yeah.
And were there other big ones that just couldn't compete, or did people just say, you know what, they got this?
Well, yeah. So Abercrombie was 2007, right? Yeah. I think it was 2007 when he released The Blade itself, which is still much smaller scale than some of these more epic series. But Robin Hobb started her series right around the same time as George, maybe just slightly before. On top of that, you have R. Scott Baker's second Apocalypse series. And then, of course, you have the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I mean, we were really in kind of a golden age from 1985 to 2015. It was kind of insane to think about all the things that were released during that time period. But really, when you look at 2010 to now, there have been other series. I'm not saying there haven't been, and there's some really great stuff out there. But as far as like ongoing efforts that are truly epic, multiple series, massive tomes, epic fantasy as we know and love it, I think in many ways, Stormlight might be the only one that fits the total bill that we would put up. Looking for help, looking for the next big thing. And I don't know, man. It's just crazy. Next month we are going to have. It's now November, so in December we will have this 5th book. We will have a definitive end to the first arc of Stormlight Archive. The only other series I can think of is the Tad Williams Osnard series, which I just got an arc for, and I never get arcs.
The arc, nice.
So I don't do arcs. You know me. I don't do arcs because I don't like to be compromised. Not saying people who get them are, but for me, I like to have like no attachments, no debts to be paid. Right when I review something. But this one, it has nothing to do with getting it early to be like, oh, I'm in the good favors of DAW Books or Tad Williams. It's because I read his book 3 in the series and I was like, I have to know what happens.
Yeah.
I have to know what happens.
And even without an arc, you've spoken to Tad. So it's like,
yeah, we're best friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you and Tad, it's sort of like a weekly catch up. So
he's a great guy, man. He's a great guy. I loved your
interview with him. It was great.
Yeah. Terrific guy. Also, very big fan of Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson's a huge fan of Tad Williams. So, folks, go check out Tad Williams. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just it's something special that we're kind of getting to provide right now, which is like in time, in the moment recaps of these preview chapters for like the biggest book release of the fantasy genre since Rhythm of War.
And it's crazy because you say all this like it's the only kind of epic thing, and then you attach the Cosmere to it. And you realize the absolute like magnitude of this beast. And not only are we in like a special moment in time where it's like chapters releasing week by week, and this will be like a little time capsule. This will also be a time capsule, let's say in like 5 to 10 years time when there's multiple Cosmere authors. People will miss the days where it all came from, Brando Sando. But then it's going to be like a Cosmere story by this person and that
Dirty
person.
Dan Wells. I just gave him a nickname.
It's interesting because I'm pretty sure Isaac Stewart, the art director for the Cosmere, is also writing, also slated to write Cosmere books too. So I'm really, I'm pretty. Jimmy's like, Jimmy, yeah. See, this is it. People will have conflicting feelings.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Because look, it'll be like where Sanderson approves. Of course he will approve. But I guess we could look at Skyward, because I know Skyward kind of went with Jancy Patterson as well, where it became a dual author deal. Mm-hmm. And I haven't really heard too much negativity around that. I think it's just like, okay, that's what happened there. But it will be an interesting time. It will be an interesting time.
Yeah, I also think that it might be appropriate to brace ourselves for the future of the Cosmere, meaning that I think that Cosmere will live on past Brandon.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, because I know there's people who will be like, words of Brandon, I know everything he's ever said in an interview. He actually said that. I don't know those things. So maybe he has a definitive plan where they stop doing the novels. But I also would not be surprised to see the Cosmere be, not an internal thing, but a very long lasting thing that gives people a jump start on their careers in a really smaller way, like way smaller way. I think of the Wildcard series by George R. R. Martin. He started it. He wrote in it. Robin Hobb wrote it. Daniel Abraham wrote in it. Like a bunch of people have written for Wildcards. But now it's actually a really great place to find new authors. They might write Wildcard stories, and then George is actually editing them. So maybe it'll be something like that. I
would love that, actually, if it's kind of
it'd be cool.
You could have a bunch of Cosmere stories in different tones. It's like, let's bring... I mean, I'm beating a dead horse because I always say the same authors, but let's bring Abercrombie in for just like one dark Cosmere short story.
Could you imagine?
Die of happiness. How good would that be? It would be
so my only caveat with all this is my only caveat.
Uh-huh.
I am not, and this is based on experience, I'm not a huge fan when an author that isn't the original author writes about the characters. Now, I'm not talking about a situation with Wheel of Time, like where Brandon had to take over for Robert Jordan. That's a necessity.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like Malazan, Book of the Fallen. Erickson has written these characters in the main 10, and then we have Ian C. Esselmont come in, and he writes his Return of the Crimson Guard book and includes a lot of the characters from the main series, and they seem totally different than they did in the main series. And I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't want to see someone else write Kaladin, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see someone write Syl, Kaladin, Dalinar. Only Sanderson should write those characters going forward. That's my only caveat with all this.
Yeah, I think, yeah, exactly. I don't think it would be main characters. It would be like a side offshoot.
Which is cool.
Almost inconsequential, but just like a little neat thing. It's interesting. I wonder if we are those like niche comic book fans back in the day. Yeah, and we'll look at the movies coming out and be like, I was there.
We're boomers. Yeah. We're the old heads now.
Yeah. My only like comparison point, just because I'm also doing this at the moment, is with One Piece. Like each arc, at least in the anime now, they kind of revamp the art style. They still stay true to adapting it, but the whole look of the show and the way it's animated and the characters look kind of different. So it's like interesting to see like cool, like how much are we willing to let go and see some new interpretations, or do we want it to stay super contained from Sanderson himself? It's an interesting
think about that stuff all the time, dude.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time, especially with like properties getting new spin-offs or like remakes, and like how much I'm really good at it. Not to pat myself on the back, but I'm actually really good at reimagining things and being okay with different interpretations. It's one of the reasons why like the Game of Thrones show does not ruin the books for me, because it's just a telling of that story with its own ending. And I'm still okay with just like what I have from the books. But I also think about this with a lot of like the horror remakes, because like I love Freddy Krueger, for instance. Like that's one of my favorite horror franchises. And all the remakes, like I can appreciate them for what they are, but still know that the other thing exists, right? I imagine comic book people are probably really good at this though, because like so many different people have written like Batman and Spider-Man and all these other things. But it's funny because that kind of makes me a hypocrite, because I'm over here saying I do not want anyone else to write Kaladin. So I'm a bit of a hypocrite.
It's different with books for some reason, because the books feel like the source material. We just view that as like this is the Bible, and we can have new versions, but this is the Brando Sando Bible, and it must be written by him. But there comes a weight to Sanderson approving. If he approves it, well then it's okay because it's his world. So it is what it is.
It matters a lot. It matters. Yeah. It matters a whole lot. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the future has in store for us. I'm thinking about this One and Truth thing, and I'm also thinking about this might be the last Michael Whalen cover we ever see.
I think it is. I think that's
because he's pretty much retired at this point.
He came out of retirement for Stormlight, I'm fairly certain, and then that's kind of been it. And I wonder what they'll do if they'll keep this, like if they'll get a similar look just by another artist or a whole new revamp.
They just do an AI Michael Whalen and everyone throws a fit. Throws a fit.
Oh man, I feel like we have no idea. Like by the time that book's out, the whole landscape is going to be so vastly different.
I'm going to be over 40 years old when the next Stormlight book comes out, supposedly. I hope he changes his mind. Do you have that feeling? Are you like, God, Sanderson, please change your mind and write a Stormlight book in 3 years?
Oh, 100% I have that feeling.
Okay,
like
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I'm like, look, I admire the cool ambition,
Yeah.
You fans will wait. And you'll get your book when I say it's ready. But I don't know, man. It's crazy.
He's released his diagram, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I want the diagram to suit me, a Stormlight fan, damn it.
I'm going to have a picture of my pup next to Wind and Truth, and then my picture of a pup next to book 6. And it's going to be
both just going to be bald. 20 pounds heavier.
I don't think your hair's going anywhere, mate. I'll be bald. I'll be big old
I was trying to be inclusive and trying to like make you feel better, but yeah, I will still have a full head of hair, unfortunately.
Just imagine, remember when Sanderson did the bald CEO skit? That's what I'm
not
gonna
a good
look. That's what I'm gonna look like, mate, and I've got to accept it. This is nature's way.
But yeah, man, I hope the diagram's wrong. I hope he writes a book in 3 years. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be good. Oh, I guess we should talk about these bloody chapters.
Yeah, dude. So I mean, this is some big stuff. I mean, 25 and 26, we have a whole bunch of Shallan and the Ghostbloods. We get Mraize. He's acting very suspicious and very strange. And then we also hear that Dalinar is obviously going on this huge journey. but he's not going to be alone. He's going to be accompanied by Navani, which is the biggest shock for me in these chapters. You didn't think Navani was going with Dalinar on this trip. We were talking about Dalinar and Shallan together.
I think it's just like another example of couple goals at play here.
Go through the spiritual realm, bro.
Are you really in love if you don't go to the spiritual realm together?
So true. So true, dude.
See, Adolin and Shallan, they haven't proved themselves, you know.
I think Adolin's dead. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, man, Adolin might be dead. The only thing that keeps me from thinking Adolin might be dead is the fact that Sanderson said if they did an adaptation that the three main characters would be Adolin, Shallan, and Kaladin.
Oh, man. That quote still haunts me to this day.
Me
that
too.
idea.
Yeah.
I need an actor with the tightest of buttocks to play Dalinar. This is a requirement.
and also, how are they going to adapt Shark Plate? Like when Adolin talks about pooping in his armor.
I forgot about Shark Plate. That sounds like a good that sounds like a good punchline to a bad joke of the week.
That is easily my best joke on the show.
Shark Plate.
That will make the air, I should say.
Yeah.
That's some bangers that got edited out.
Oh, yeah, no. It can't be those three as the main characters. That's a weird.
So do you think that disqualifies Adolin from getting murdered?
No, I think he's dead. I think he's
You
dead.
do?
I think he's got to die. Me trying to be in Sanderson's head, which is a vastly superior writing and world building mind. But I think, what is there to do with Adolin? Where am I taking this character? And I hope he comes up with something really interesting. And I'm sure he will. But in my mind, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, he's obviously still the regular boy amongst all the fly boys with the magic powers. So, like, there's stuff to be said about that and stuff you can do with that. But end game wise, where are we going? Like, maybe if everything resets and all the powers kind of get nerfed, it would be interesting to see him.
That's where my mind goes. I think Adolin is like the beginning of the reset. That's kind of how I've thought about it. I don't know if Sanderson's the type of writer to say, hey, this is the only ordinary guy and he's now dead. I don't think that that's something Sanderson would go for. And also, I'm of the belief that Shallan will not be featured as much in Stormlight, at least the first 6, 7, 8 book, right? I think Shallan's going off world. I think she's going to be gone, kidnapped, whatever it might be. I think that Adolin is going to be a very pivotal point in his life where his dad is gone. I'm actually still on the train that Dalinar is gone and that Shallan is gone. And now that makes Adolin kind of the center of attention in many ways as far as the Colin family goes.
That could be really cool.
Yeah, so for me, I know everyone's saying, "Oh, Adolin's not making. I'm not sure, dude. I'm still thinking Adolin holds on to this. I do think there's some foreshadowing that Shallan is pregnant.
Yeah, I think it's almost confirmed with a little cheeky line here.
Line, and I'm very conflicted because I feel strongly that she will not be off Roshar by book 6.
Mm-hmm.
But is she going to give birth on Scadrial or something? I don't know.
That line's really interesting because Sja-anat is there's room for my children and yours too. Because it's
a very pointed line.
One, you could read it as that she's pregnant and which is kind of creepy because that means Sja-anat was in the reflection somewhere in that previous chapter. So she's I know what happened. Or it's some other weird thing where Shallan will have her own network of whatever. You know how Sja-anat sees her spren as her children. Maybe Shallan will be some sort of
her identities, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe her identities. Yeah, interesting. There's a lot of cheeky lines actually in these chapters. But I'm actually, it reminds me of A Feast for Crows or A Dance with Dragons, where mentions of characters you haven't seen for ages is amazing. And of course it sucks to lose some characters in the spotlight, but I'm actually really looking forward to missing them and having one chapter with them where it's just incredible to see them once more after a big break.
Reunion. Yeah. The reunion is always worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, can you just imagine, like, the chips are down, everything's fallen. They're like, yeah, Kaladin became a therapist and he lives up on a mountain somewhere. We never see him. We never see him anymore. And then he just flies down from the sky and just is like, just is storm blessed once again.
Who needs some therapy?
Who wants to better themselves? Come
Who
at
wants
me.
to lay down on my couch? Like, what?
Who wants to talk about their childhood? Oh, I will charge affordable rates for therapy, even when it's not advantageous. That's the fifth ideal.
14 spheres for therapy with Kaladin. 14 spheres. Dun spheres, if you will.
Oh, what a good guy. But all right, so we're continuing the Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell. What other comparisons?
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid. That's the one I was thinking of. The mission ending with a big old exclamation mark at the end.
Snake.
It seriously feels like you're playing a video game in these Shallan chapters.
Yeah, still not my favorite. I'm just going to level with you.
We're both
Not
pretty
my
weak
favorite
on Shallan so far, actually. For someone who was our favorite and who we defended through the Way of Kings reread so much, I think we both agree Shallan's the weakest part of Wind and Truth so far, at least.
I saw someone be like, I love Shallan. Why does everyone hate him? And someone was like, you should check out Lost in Roshar. They spent like a year defending Shallan. And I'm like, well, don't listen now. Don't listen now. I don't hate the chapters. They're just far less interesting to me than some of the other stuff that's going on with like Sibling and Navani and whatever else. And also, this is the Zeth book, right?
Yeah, it kind of feels like he's holding his cards close to his chest, but
we got a lot of pages to go. We got a lot.
We're not even a third through.
Jesus.
So we got a big book. Like, remember, everybody, like, basically all our takes, take them with a grain of salt, because it's a very different experience reading this week to week. It's not how it's intended. This is intended to build hype. This is not probably how he wants us to read it. So we will have very different reactions to how the dust settles within about a year. And I hope that becomes an epic moment where dust was related in the book as well.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, wouldn't it?
So Shallan's infiltrating this ghost blood base. And I don't know about you, man, but I was reading all these code names, desperately trying to figure out if I could.
Icy Tongue? Was that the one?
Yeah, but I was looking at all of them thinking, who are you? Do I know you? Turns out I don't. I don't think so anyway. But did you see? Okay, let's see if your mind went where mine did.
Okay.
Because, there's this person, that person. Wit gave me all these drawings. And there's unknown Veden woman. I don't recognize her. I should probably draw her. And look, if we're going to do a tier list of most unreliable narrator, I think Shallan's like S tier, number one, right? Because there are so many instances of her just being like, I'm not going to remember that anyway, all the time.
Moving on.
So I was like, unknown woman in a Shallan chapter with Ghostbloods. Is that Mother Dearest, perhaps?
Oh my gosh.
And look, there's no other basis for it besides Shallan being one, an unreliable narrator, and me just desperate to see that her mom's a herald. Like, there's a lot of desperation here. But
I thought her mom was dead, though. Like, just straight up dead.
Yeah, but is a herald dead? They just respawn, dude. They just respawn.
You think that Shallan's mom might be a Ghostblood?
Could be. I mean, the Ghostbloods.
That might be the most unhinged theory we've ever had.
the Ghostbloods were chilling with her family. They were getting, they got her brother involved.
But why wouldn't, like, I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Look, I'm just saying, if there's one character who would see their mum and totally block it out, it is Shallan. Like, he could get away with that, and we'd all 100% believe that. But then, like, there's a next level of susness, because when Iyatil kind of pulls aside Shallan at one point, I'm just going to talk about Shallan stuff as a whole. I know it's both.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. So she pulls her aside when she's speaking German or whatever. And she's like, hey, man, Moraes is acting kind of funny. I don't know if he's been replaced, but he's being a bit weird. So Okay, I want to ask you, what did you start thinking about when she said that?
I wasn't fully confident in what
Okay.
was happening in this chapter in
All right.
either of her parts.
Okay.
So this is kind of like besides the point. For
Yeah.
me, I'm just obsessed with Maraise at this point.
Okay. 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 Well, this is good because it's what I'm talking about, right? Because he's okay. So let's talk about Mraize, and we'll connect it to her saying the replacement. So he's got this big crossbow that's like got a gemstone affixed to it with anti-light.
Yes.
So you just shoot a radiant, and it's game over, as I understand it. Spren dead,
Huge.
radiant gone, really bad, really
Very
really
bad.
bad. Which is good though because we need something like this because everyone just keeps healing themselves and never dying.
Yes,
So this
it's
is
way too OP.
yeah. So this is great. And he's doing his historical speech about kind of
Well,
flexing about other societies and stuff. Yeah,
and
and
they talk about where this originated from, which was Azish or somewhere else. I can't remember
yeah,
exactly
like
where it
yeah,
was.
on Roshar still, but
But
yeah.
this is the big part.
Uh
He
huh.
said, "My father."
Oh yes, that's true. Yes, yes, yes.
Because we've been trying to figure out who Mraize was. I was very much of the opinion that Mraize was a Kandra or a world hopper. I
Right,
don't
but
think
he's
that's the
from Roshar.
case.
Sounds like he's a homegrown. He's a homeboy. Roshar homeboy.
Where's Mink? Where's the Mink from?
He's from Herdaz, I think.
Okay, never mind. I was
Yeah.
going to try to make a Mink connection, but that ain't going to happen. Never
Well,
mind.
yeah, but it's still interesting to note. So there are ways that you can be born on Roshar and have access to knowledge of the greater Cosmere somehow. There's another avenue besides being a herald or bonding a Spran or talking to the Stormfather.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. And they were like all across the Everstorm. They're like, man, haven't seen you since we like met and talked about the Everstorm like a year before it happened. Good to see you guys.
Getting together is dangerous.
It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. We've got a lot of intel. But yeah, dude, Maurice was acting a bit funny, and then Yatel is like, I don't know if he's been replaced. So she's thinking that Kandra are. It's like widely accepted that Kandra are infiltrating the Ghostbloods.
Yeah,
Potentially.
she says that she doesn't think he's been replaced, right?
Yeah, he
Like
doesn't
he's not been
think,
replaced.
but she's sus about it. She's
Which is
like,
telling
that's
us someone has been replaced.
before, yeah, and
Right.
but because they're a organization stemming from Scadrial, everyone's talking about Kandras, and you know what they're sleeping on? They're sleeping on the Sleepless, brother. They're sleeping on the Sleepless possibility. When she said replaced, I'm like, are the Kremlings chilling with the Ghostbloods? Are they
Let's
infiltrating?
go.
I yeah.
That's the sleepless horn.
Dude, watch. You know how, like, at the end of the chapter, she's like, "Guys, Radiance, we've been infiltrated." You watch as imagine the hype of Mraize's body going into like 1,000
Scattering.
Hordlings and scattering up the wall. I would. This book would get an immediate 10 out of 10 from me.
I would lose my ever loving mind, dude. That would be the happiest moment of my life.
I know, it really would. Oh, that would be so freaking amazing because he's really holding back on the
Wow.
Sleepless thing. Like Dawnshard was the biggest, and Edge Dancer too, actually. But like, yeah, to see
It's
someone
coming.
just because the Kandra misdirect, and then for one of them to be Sleepless would be awesome. Awesome. So
I
throwing that one
love
out
where your
there.
head's at, bro.
I'm putting that in the universe. And then, did you pick up the Dalinar shout out where I think our theory is confirmed about they're talking about Dalinar's doing this and Dalinar's doing that. Our newest recruit has just told us, right? And a few chapters ago, where like that guard for Dalinar, Kolot, who like wanted to be a Windrunner, but then
Oh,
he's like,
yeah.
I don't want to be a Windrunner anymore. Like that's
Easily.
probably the Ghostblood. So that's probably a Kandra who's like eaten this guy, taken his bones, and is watching
Yes.
Dalinar reporting to the Ghostbloods. At the same time,
100%.
though, at the same time, they also know about what was said in the meeting a chapter or two ago with the Mink and Lift and all them.
And cultivation.
Right.
Rats on cultivation. So there's absolutely a spy within the camp.
Yeah, so I guess
sure.
for that case, that was Sja-anat, the Unmade. Maybe she was in a reflection somewhere watching and
What if?
reporting to them.
What if?
Hmm?
What if Navani? Just kidding.
There's
Could you
no way.
imagine?
I
Could you
mean,
imagine?
I would love, like, yeah, Navani's like a Kremlin Kandra.
She had been
Like,
murdered off page between book 4 and 5 and
and we're
became a
like, man, the
Kandra.
dialogue feels a bit clunky.
Dude,
And
that would be
Sanderson's
the
like,
most
bro,
bold decision he's ever made, dude.
it's a Kandra.
It would be so unhinged. Navani actually threw herself off the balcony when Gavilar died, and then it was
Oh
replaced
my
with a Kandra.
gosh.
There's
Can you
literally
imagine?
no way.
Sanderson's like, I'm sick of all these people criticizing my writing. I'm gonna show
Dude, he
them.
would be frying if that was the case. I would literally buy every leather bound he's ever made. Like, it would be a wrap if he had the balls to do that, dude. I would lose my mind.
Oh,
Not a chance.
And I kind of got a feel like he's gonna cook something up crazy like that in this book. There's gonna be some reveal that just throws, where he schools all of us nerds who think we know better, and we're all planning to say he should have done this and done that. He's gonna be like, you know what? Screw you guys. Okay.
I'll tell you one thing I've been thinking about that might not be to that level, but right beneath it. Dude,
Okay.
I feel like the Stormfather killed Honor.
I read that somewhere actually, because
Really?
Yeah, no, I read that.
I've been thinking about the Stormfather so much lately.
Because he's real sus. Because they're like, so the only version of this we've gotten is from the Stormfather, and we don't know what happened. But he calls it our shame.
Mm-hmm.
So is it just him, or did he have other people?
I also heard that the words of Brandon said that there's a shard that's just hiding, and some people were saying that maybe Honor isn't actually dead; it's just hiding.
Well, I guess that's already confirmed because they said it is hiding or chilling, at least in the spiritual realm. Maybe that's what that's about, or maybe it's another shard we haven't met yet. But yeah, man, I don't know. The Stormfather's real sus. He's real sus.
There's no way Mishram's Honor, right? Like, yeah, that's not possible.
I don't think so, but
I feel like they're tied together, though.
Potentially.
Something's going to come out with their situation is going to be linked, I think.
Yeah. Well, before we go to Navani and Dalinar, let's talk about this. Is all connecting, right? This is all connecting. No, you're fine. It actually works. So, all right, we get actually like quite a big lore drop, or like not lore drop, an idea of what the Ghostbloods want right at the end of the chapter before she gets caught.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like we've got a lot of different motives within the Ghostbloods, and we kind of talked about before we recorded that there's going to be like interfaction warfare in the Ghostbloods. It's going to become a whole thing. This secret society is going to almost cave in on itself. But she says Thydekar wants to protect his homeland. That's his mission. Okay, cool. That's from the top. Eyatul, who's the leader of the Rosharian subset, wants to get Bardo Mishram to control shards or something insane like that. And then she asks Shallan, what about, does this work for you? Meaning that the person who Shallan is impersonating is important enough that Eyatul is like, is this cool with you? So is there actually a level above Eyatul, this random guardswoman who Shallan is impersonating? Which is interesting because that kind of checks out where they've got this weird thing where Mraize looks like he's at the top, but there's someone above him. Is there someone above Eyatul who looks also non-suspect, and it was actually who Shallan?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I will say this. I think that the Ghostbloods, like obviously there's factions or whatever. I think that there is going to be a large amount of change to the Ghostbloods, or maybe reveals possibly by the end of this book. They're clearly going to be split up in other factions. Like there's going to be different leaders, and they're going to be warring against each other. At least in my mind, it's almost like gang warfare in my head.
Yeah,
it's coming.
I think that's because even when we see Felt, like Shallan realizes Felt was a Ghostblood.
That wasn't that big of a surprise, by the way. We and you talked about that. We said, "Oh yeah, Felt's definitely."
We found out.
That's right.
I think it was the interlude. Yeah,
that's right.
So with Kalak, yeah, we found out.
I read it. Now, I read it, and I was like, "This isn't that surprising." And that's
this is the week to week effect. You're like, "Did I know this?" Yeah. So Shallan's found that out, but even Felt was like, "Dude, I don't even want money. Like, I'm sick of what you're doing." Like, everyone's got different opinions. Um,
Yes, and I felt
mm,
like he was more of a reluctant person. And
yes.
this is kind of tying into my feeling that Gaz could be being used against his will against Shallan at some point as well.
Yeah.
Red is way up for discussion. Red could be a Ghostblood or a Kandra. That work. That fine. Gaz is a bit of a redemption arc.
Yeah. Or a tragic
So
hero, tragic death.
yeah,
Death by
so I could see
mouthful.
him being tragic, and the
Mm,
idea that his vices like gambling debts or something being used against him by the Ghostbloods to use him against Shallan, yada yada yada.
mm, yeah. Someone's dying. Someone's dying from this crossbow, obviously.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, they didn't. Yatel didn't grab a knife to kill Shallan. It's like they wanted to trap her. I can't believe she got so deep into the. Like, I can't believe this worked. To be honest, I was like, wow, they
Yeah,
actually
I felt
didn't
a
realize.
little
They actually didn't know.
yeah, I felt a little out of water with this one because I even
Mm.
asked you, I was like, exactly where is this taking place? And obviously it ends up being in the old Parshendi camp in the Shattered
Yeah,
Plains, which is cool. So
yeah. It's kind of glossed over. Weirdly enough, they kind of
a
arrive
little
there,
bit.
and then we're straight into like we're in the camp, and now we're underground, and all this stuff. I'm still really stuck on the ending, man. When she like, why does she care about what this random guardswoman's plans are? That means Shallan's unintentionally someone pretty important. I don't get it. It's uh, yeah,
I was
interesting.
confused by this as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Okay, yeah. So Thadikar wants to protect his homeland above all else. Once we find Mishram for my purposes, he will see. Master Thadikar can only protect his land if shards can be controlled. Will this fit your plans as well? So I'm trying to say Bardo Mishram was an unmade who, like, while Odium was chilling, gave Parshendi their forms and basically tried to like do his job. Um, so I'm trying to think how this unmade has anything to do with controlling shards. Like, what can this unmade do that you can? I don't know. Like, what do you do? Like, break the shard from its vessel and just like take it up?
Did
Obviously,
Mishram
like
have something to do with honor?
maybe she's obviously because again she granted forms, which is like just literally bonds. So I'm guessing there's some sort of
Yeah.
bond or some sort of tie being broken. But that stands to reason that Eartel is way more ambitious than Thydica, which is kind of surprising to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just going to be a whole mess. It's going to be a whole mess. But I will just say, I love that this is the conversation we're having where we're guessing who's a Kandra and who's an imposter. And that's my favorite kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot about who it'll be and who ends up being real and whose
Mm.
deception is their own or were their bones eaten. We're not sure.
And another big question I have, right? So you were saying you had to remind yourself who Sja-anat was.
Yes.
And like I know who she is, of course, because she's like had some big scenes throughout the
Mm-hmm.
books. Um, and I'll credit this one. This was on Reddit. Someone's so I probably should have got their username, but they said that Sja-anat may be able to heal Deadeye Spren, and I went to check out what they were talking about, and
Oh
they
my god.
cited this interlude from Rhythm of War, and it's a Sja-anat perspective, and it was great. If anyone wants to kind of remember what Sja-anat's all about, read that chapter. It's like interlude 2, I think, in Rhythm of War, and she's talking to one of her Spren that she's like, not, she doesn't like the term corrupted, but she's freed it, and the Spren says to her, "Thank you for giving me my eyes," before it leaves.
Oh my god.
So, and we've got a dead eye right there. We've got Testament. So, how's that going to work? What, what's going to happen there? I don't know.
Congratulations, you just unlocked a huge mystery. We don't have all the answers, but
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean, I'm
sold.
not right. The guy on
100% in.
Reddit's right. The person on Reddit,
The guy
good
on
job.
Reddit.
Legend. So yeah, that feels very good to me. That feels like a great connection. And then someone was talking about, okay, so Mraize has this like thing that can kill Spren. What if Patton dies in the fight, and then Shallan has to only have Testament. Sja-anat gets involved and saves it. Like, there's a lot of possibilities here that could, like, things could go wrong very quickly, very badly.
It goes so many ways that are all so interesting.
Yeah, and they randomly drop that all the Ghostbloods in the room are Radiants too. But I guess
that was huge.
Yeah, but they're all using corrupted Spren from Sja-anat. So Sja-anat is like providing Spren for the Ghostbloods to like.
And Shallan's the reason why they connected.
Yeah, man, it's very cool. But Murray seems actually conflicted about killing Shallan. He's like, I kind of like her though. So.
Man,
it's
and
very
also
messy.
Shallan's obviously very unreliable, like you said. Do you think there's a hidden personality we don't know about with Shallan?
I don't know. Probably like one that could write in for the bad joke of the week.
So this was the craziest thought I had during these chapters. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, hit me. What do you got?
I don't even want to say it because it's so stupid.
No, that's why you should say it. That's
never mind. No,
please.
No.
This will be like Jimmy's epic theory segment. Let's go.
It's not epic. It's dumb. It's dumb as hell.
Okay, all right. If you're doubling down, I'll trust you.
What if Shallan's other personality?
Yeah.
Is Mraize?
See, that's perfect. You've nailed it. Oh my god.
Well, it was just weird because they're like, oh, it hasn't been replaced, but it's changing, and Shallan's obviously changing. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously BS. It's BS.
That would be so great. Shallan's like, wow, he's just a regular guy. His sock is tucked into his trousers. Wait a minute.
So is mine.
So is mine. Yeah. And he's talking to my mother. Like, it's just.
Oh my.
I mean, imagine us writing this series. No one would be who they are. Everyone's
no.
a herald or a Kremlin.
It would be terrible. It would be terrible.
Hit us up if you want some Lost in Roshar fanfic. It'd be the ultimate who done
on the
mystery.
Moon.
Yeah, that was our big thing for a long time.
Dude, I ran with that for years.
Yeah, Kaladin on the moon. All right, well, for two people who criticized the Shallan chapters, we had a lot to say.
There's so much going on.
Yeah.
It's more just like, one, I really want more Zeth, but two, I just don't know where it's going, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but just some of like the like actually you mentioned like the pant leg tucked in, and I was just like, okay, I know what you're trying to do here, but like it's not the most compelling thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm a little fatigued by the veil and radiant thing with Shallan. Like,
yeah.
It's just not my favorite. It's just not my favorite. And that's okay, because I love so much of what is actually still happening in the Shallan chapters. It's just not what my most preferred POV is. That's all.
Yeah, man. We're on the same page for sure.
Yeah. We're not hating.
No. All right. Couple goals with, you know what? Wit is such a... Wit interrupted some of my favorite dialogue. The little bastard. I liked Dalinar and Navani like really weighing up like what this means for Dalinar to just like become a god real quick, and like you felt the love and the connection. Like, man, what does this mean for us? It's going to change. Why do you have to do that? I really enjoyed it. And then Wit just came in and stole their thunder.
Kind of leaning up against the doorway, just making quips.
As he does. I mean, we can't complain about it. That's what he does. But hey, what did you notice the cute little moment of them their simile battle where like they're trying to relate things to each other's field? Where is it? Oh yes. Okay. So Navani's like, we're out of our depth, like an army struggling against an enemy with far more modern equipment. And then Dalinar's like, or a scholar trying to read complex ideas in a language she has barely studied.
I see.
It's like, I can relate to you. It was very sweet. He's like, I'm trying. I'm trying to talk in your world. But yeah, so what do you think's going to happen, man? Like, with these two, where are they headed? Actually,
dude, I did not see Navani going on this journey with him. I mean, this is the biggest surprise maybe thus far in this book, other than like, you know, some of the lore reveals that are just like, you know, we had no idea of the no. But dude, I really am not sure. where it's going to go. And Navani questioning whether the humanity will be lost of Dalinar, and like, will you still be here? And then we
Yeah.
end up hearing Wit talk about what happens if someone like denies the power, hands it off to somebody else. And then obviously, I think some people thought they were talking about Kelsier. I think he's talking about Vin, because when Vin gives it up and ends up giving up the ruin, and then obviously we get the third book, which is very convenient for a trilogy. We're writing a trilogy in many ways.
I mean, that was a great moment.
It's a whole thing, right? So this stuff is just kind of catching me off guard. And as much as I say I don't know where Shallan's going, I don't know where Navani's going at this point.
It's an interesting choice, because when you read the chapter, you follow her logic, and she's like, you need someone, you need like a scholar with you for this too. It's not just you. I'm actually a really good person for the job. And they're going to go through Wit's memories and stuff, which I'm very, very excited to see. Very excited, because it's like the closest thing to time travel we'll get. But the more I thought about it, I was like, if I had to pick who to bring with me to check out Roshar's history and take notes and stuff, I would pick Jasnah. I wouldn't pick Navani.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
So I think a bit of Navani
needs a bigger part in this book.
Yeah. Well, I agree. And then you just think, but she's slated for book 10 flashbacks. So he's really saving her.
But also, like, as a reader, like, I shouldn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I love the words of Brandon. I love the how, and he's plugged in. He's plugged into the community. But like, sometimes I wish I didn't know these things, because then it's like, okay,
I get you. I totally
what I'm
get
saying?
that. Because imagine the hype. I wonder who the flashbacks will be for book 7, and then he tells you, you're like, oh my god. But
sometimes
we already
know less. I want to know a little less. That's all.
I get that. I actually agree with that more than I thought I would. But still, knowing more, we can say that he's saving something huge for that character. Although I still think she should go. I would love to see her in these visions. But Navani's been before, and she knows what's up. I want to know what Wit was doing on Roshar. Like, that he's got memories from like thousands of years ago. What was he doing back then? What was he like?
Good question.
That's really cool. That's the access point. His own memories. That's sick.
He also has memories that he's lost, so he's probably gonna have to chase those down too.
Yeah, that's true. Oh man, it's so weird. We're going into like Wit's hard drive, essentially. I don't know. There's probably a lot of stuff we don't want to see.
Definitely.
But yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So I guess we're doing some time travel / not actually really time travel hijinks with with this slot, and it must be happening right now, like imminently. Surely, the next Dalinar chapter will be then going right.
Bro, I thought I was going to get a Zeth chapter this time around because of the cliffhanger. And you were telling me, oh, dude, wait till you read the second half of this chapter. And I'm like, I'm waiting.
Do we talk about last week? We actually didn't talk about the epigraphs, the Way of Kings.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up, because I wanted to talk about the fact that the first epigraph of these chapters is talking about Ashen.
You think so? Well, let's read it.
I'm starting to think what's his name? Sorry. Nohodon.
Yeah.
I think his walk might be from Ashen to Roshar.
Oh my gosh.
Read that first epigraph. Read it.
All right, let's see. Okay. The Almighty has given us the limbs to move and the minds to decide. Let no monarch take away what was divinely granted. The heralds also taught that all should have the sacred right of freedom of movement to escape a bad situation, or simply seek a brighter dawn.
Is that not going from Ashen to Roshar?
I think it's referring to that. Because
right?
I'm trying to think, because at the same time our timeline is very unreliable now that we know most of our info is from the Susfather.
Yeah, but true.
In my mind, right, the heralds were some of these awesome people that helped us move from Ashen to Roshar, and then the Almighty was like, you guys are going to be the heralds. He made them like afterwards. But this kind of suggests that they were already, I don't know. That's a very cool thing that you've said there, though. If this is,
I'm thinking, man.
Yeah, you are.
Thinking about a lot of things lately,
Let's see the next
Christian.
one. Let's see the next one. What's next? I continued on my way contemplating dust. Interesting. And the nature of
Dust.
desertion. I'm throwing dust up there with stones, night, and wind, just so you know.
Well, let's not be sacrilegious here. Okay, we've built a brand. Okay, the stone plushies aren't going to sell out, Christian, if you move to dust plushies. Okay, how would a dust plushie even work? We can't even sell those.
Oh, lost in Roshar business meeting exposed. All right. For I, as king, had walked away from my duties, and it was different for me. Had I not renounced the throne the Almighty had granted, and in so doing undermined my very own words, was I abandoning that which was divinely given to me? So, I don't think we knew that the Almighty, Honor, gave Noadon his kingship.
No, I don't think so. Is there any parallel? All right, follow me a little bit.
I'm following.
You got your walking shoes on? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Kaladin kind of rejected his role that was granted to him by Dalinar, and Dalinar being kind of the representative of honor, and Kaladin now going on this journey over to Shinovar, really feeling like,
oh my God.
Is there a parallel there?
There is a parallel.
Ooh, I'm cooking.
Also, I was thinking of parallels to Dalinar, because was it you who's like Dalinar is Noadon or something crazy?
Yeah, I'm thinking he's going to interact with, like, I think these epigraphs will come to pass in the spiritual realm. I think that's going to happen. Yeah.
Oh my God, they're gonna be. Yeah.
It's insane.
The spiritual
this book
realm
is going to be the most epic thing of all time.
I hope so. I think we're cooking, because like Dalinar, has he rejected? Oh, like they're all somewhat on journeys and title. I think you nailed it with the Kaladin one. To be honest, I think that's a really
Kaladin revoked his titles and then went to Shinovar as a therapist. Like, dude,
that ain't gonna cut it, buddy.
And I'm just saying, Dalinar is certainly something between a man and a deity currently.
Yeah. Oh, he's in a weird spot.
He's a very weird spot. He's like half ascendant at this point. Yeah.
Half ascended. That's a good. I'm in bad joke of the week mode.
It's like Gruntle in Malazan, for those who've read Memories of Ice and Beyond. Yeah.
All right, mate. Is it that time? It
is that time.
Right. For the bad Roshar joke
joke of the week.
Hey, man.
All right, let's do it.
Throwback to like episode 20 something where we said we're jingle positive. We haven't done a jingle.
We were jingle positive. And less jingling nowadays.
Less jingling. We need a bad joke of the week jingle. That's your job. That's your homework.
In this economy?
All right. Okay. Oh, this is really bad. This is a bad one. So this is bad. All right. Okay. Robert with a nice little bit at the beginning. Love what you guys do. Thanks so much. Your podcast is the highlight of my daily commute and dog walks. I'm your biggest fan in Monaco, but given the population size, I might also be your only fan in Monaco.
We're actually the number one podcast in Monaco right now.
Yeah, I love how Bend the Knee is like number one in like Kenya or something.
The Congo.
That's awesome. All right. He apologizes in advance, but this is his bad joke submission.
All right.
What does it take to be an author on Roshar? A little inspiration. I can't even pronounce it.
I'm out.
I apologize for my delivery. It's actually a bit of a tongue twister. But hey, man.
It is.
The wow from Jimmy is actually quite an honor. It's a good one.
Honestly, it is. Yeah. I honestly, it might be better than the applause or the air horn at this point.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. All right, let me see. I did not prepare for this. I'm just scrolling. All right, let's see. Oh man, these are rough. Okay.
That's how you know it's good.
All right, from Carl, who sent 3 consecutive emails, but I'm just going to read the latest one. Okay, thank you, Carl, for these. Why did Sadeas start a construction company?
Why?
Because he's always great at undermining people.
Honestly, I like that one.
All right. Nice.
It's the first like non-pun one. It's just like tied to the lore. So I got to give it up.
Okay. Well, you
I
like
like
the
it.
rest then, man. You
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
rest.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't always have to be a pun.
All right. What does Sadeas think of Adolin?
I don't know.
He's an eyesore.
Okay, that dude, he's cooking. All right, let him
Carl's
cook.
cooking. All
Carl's
right, Carl.
cooking.
So
All
we've
right,
had
all right.
the entree, the main, and now it's time for dessert.
All right, let's see it.
All right.
The 3-piece with the soda.
Does Adolin play hide and seek? He just took a stab at it.
The dessert we could have passed on. I am not sold on the dessert. The tiramisu is a little dry. Okay.
All right.
I'll give him
All
a
right,
but
Okay. I'm sure you'd be happy with that, Carl. Cheers for that. And mate,
Two out of three,
I thought of a great. I was cooking as well this week, so I'm gonna submit my own. To
you
wrap
have
up
your
this
own?
episode. Oh yeah.
Oh, this could be gas. This could be gas. All right, let's hear it.
So I was actually in Roshar the other day, and I just saw this bloke. I saw this bloke with quite long eyebrows, and I just asked the guy next to me. I said, "Is that guy Thalen?" And he said, "Thalen, nah, just long eyebrows." Thalen, nah. Yes,
That's my exact sense of humor. Actually,
yes,
yeah.
Yes, we're on a roll. 3 for 3. We've done it.
That is a direct hit.
I saw Thalen nah. I'm like, oh yeah, that's something right there.
Tremendous. That was good.
Tremendous. All right, I want to hear shout out in the comments if you want to hear a Jimmy Bad joke. I'm putting on the pressure, man. He's looking panicked, but I want to hear.
Oh no!
I want to know what you can cook, man.
How about we call it don't? All right.
All right. With that, guys, thank you for
It's time
accompanying
to
us.
seal the deal.
Oh, he's on fire. He is.
I'm ripping.
Thanks for accompanying us, guys, on this episode of Lost in Roshar. Remember, the most important chapter a man can read is the next one. We'll see you next time as we jump into the next preview chapters.
And if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, be sure to leave us a review on whichever platform you listen on. And if you have questions or theories, please spam read us, aka email us at lostandroshar@gmail.com. We'll see you next time on Lost in Roshar. And remember, for the love of the Almighty, to keep that safe and covered.